Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I just took a big drink of water. Don't mind me while I choke a little bit. So, I'm Claire Jones, if we haven't met already, and I am an author and small publisher committed to changing the world for the better through inclusive stories and practices. And I am jumping on today to continue my self-published author series that I'm doing right now, where I go over how to write, publish, and start selling your book in just a year, 52 weeks. If you're joining me, please like, comment, share below. Let us know that you're here. And today we're going to continue with setting up your writing sessions to make sure that we can maximize the creative process when we do sit down to write. So, if you're interested in getting the full rundown of what I'm discussing today, check out my self-published author 52-week planner. The digital version is available now. The physical version should be available sometime next month. The printer, unfortunately, is taking longer than anticipated to set up their stuff on their end, so you can get the pre-order now. Everything's available at linktree/ClaireJoyance. So, let's dive into it. In order to maximize the creative process when you do sit down to write, you need to intentionally set up your environment in a way that recognizes how our brains best store and retrieve information. So this is where neuroscience comes into play to maximize that creative process. Luckily, the Neuro Leadership Institute has provided a helpful framework called AGES. A is for attention, G is for generation, E is for emotions, and S is for spacing. So attention refers to our brain's capacity for sustained and directed attention. It's our attention span, which is limited to 20 minutes maximum. That might be a shocker to some of you. This means that we can only focus on one task or topic for up to 20 minutes at a time. But this attention limit is even decreased further once we realize that our brains are wired for a general arousal to incoming stimuli. So remember when we went over focus time on the Healthy Mind Platter? This is the A of the AGES. This emphasizes that multitasking should be discouraged and external stimuli reduced in order to create a distraction-free writing space. So that's A for attention. Next, let's look at generation for G and how information is processed. So memory is often stored in different sections of the brain, forcing the brain to create neural connections between those sections so that we can efficiently retrieve the information when we need it. And research has shown that it is much more effective for us to take an active role in forming those connections ourselves instead of relying on outside sources to make those connections for us. So if you are diligent in prioritizing your downtime on the Healthy Mind Platter, this will further increase your capacity for remembering those details of your book that you're writing, because ideas produced via insight, which is diffused cognitive processing. Remember, we're talking about downtime on the Healthy Mind Platter. So ideas produced via insight are much more difficult to unlearn than ideas produced not through that process, since they engage all parts of the brain. That's the importance of diffused cognitive processing. If you missed my lives on the Healthy Mind Platter, go back and check those out, because we're building on the concepts that we learned ahead of the game so that we can continue to maximize our creative output further. So A, attention, focus time, G, generation, downtime, and now E for emotion. Let's talk about that. So there is a direct link between the emotion and memory brain centers, which can either help or hinder your ability to store and retrieve information in your brain. So if emotion is too high, if you're too emotional in a given situation, you will be distracted and forgetful. If emotion is too low, if you're feeling not emotional enough, you will be disengaged and apathetic. So each person has their own optimal arousal curve. It usually looks like a parabola. And so the key is to find where your happy middle ground is for emotionality when you are doing tasks, writing sessions, that kind of stuff. When you are able to find the balance between being too emotional and not emotional enough, you will hit focused and organized writing flow that will produce your best work. So this is about emotion regulation strategies, like time in, which is another facet of the Healthy Mind Platter that we covered earlier. So many people think that the creative flow is something that they wait for. It's a strike of inspiration from a fickle muse. But all of this research shows that it can actually be strategically tapped into when we use the appropriate methods. And then finally, S for spacing. It's the last aspect to consider when sitting down to write. As discussed in the section on sleep time, again, the Healthy Mind Platter, the brain needs space and time to process information. The sleeping brain is vital to memory storage and retrieval because neural connections and circuits are reactivated during sleep. So you need to space out both your brainstorming sessions as well as your writing sessions in order to allow for your brain to catch up. So if you try to cram it all in one day, which I've done before, I do not recommend, your brain will start leaking information. And then you will have to spend more time retracing your steps next time. So A for attention, G for generation, E for emotions, and S for spacing. And all of those are linked to areas on the Healthy Mind Platter. Check out those lives if you missed my explanation of those earlier on. And that's pretty much it for today in terms of setting up your writing sessions. So if you're interested in more, check out that planner. All of the links will be provided somewhere on here, somewhere. So until next time, I'll be jumping on to talk about word count milestones to make sure that we can measure our progress as we write our drafts so that we can meet the deadlines that we set for ourselves. So in the meantime, please remember that you all have extraordinary short stories to share, and I'm rooting for you as you use them to change the world for the better. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you on Wednesday.